Okay, hold on to your tea, because what if the biggest Meghan Markle scandal ever wasn't about tiaras, tantrums, or royal feuds at all? What if it was something way deeper, something personal, something that even Buckingham Palace might not be ready for? Because rumor has it, there's a chapter of Meghan's life that's been completely wiped clean, like it never existed. A story so hidden, so off the record, that it's almost like someone went back in time and hit delete before she ever became the Duchess we know today. And that secret allegedly involves a hidden marriage, a secret daughter, and get this, the jaw-dropping possibility that Meghan Markle, yes, the Duchess of Sussex, might actually be a grandmother at 44. I know, take a second. But to understand this wild twist, we have to rewind the clock. Way before Prince Harry, before the palaces, before the royal drama, before the Netflix deals and Oprah interviews. Because once upon a time, there was another man, Trevor Engelson, a Hollywood producer, Meghan's first husband, and the man who, according to insiders, knew the real Meghan, the one the world never got to meet. Trevor loved her, married her, believed in her, and then got dumped. Allegedly by Noel. Yep, she's said to have literally sent back the engagement ring in a package. No confrontation, no call, no closure, just return to sender. Cold? Honey, that's below zero. But here's the thing, Trevor wasn't just some random ex. He was there. He saw everything, the ambition, the charm, the cracks in the story before the world even had a clue. And according to people close to him, Trevor knows so much more than he's ever let on. Because whispers claim Meghan didn't just reinvent herself for Hollywood or for the royal life. She allegedly erased entire chapters of her past. And in those missing chapters, there's talk of a teenage marriage in Las Vegas, a baby girl, and a story that, if true, blows every royal headline out of the water. The name that keeps surfacing in the whispers, Joe Giuliano. Not a prince, not a producer, just a regular guy from Chicago. Allegedly, Meghan's first husband when she was only 18. Rumor has it, the two of them walked into a tiny Vegas chapel, said, "I do," signed the papers, and walked out married. No gowns, no paparazzi, no glam, just vows, witnesses, and a wall of silence afterward. And that silence? Oh, it was deafening. The kind that only makes sense if someone was desperate to erase the evidence. Then, poof, annulment, a clean legal slate. Nevada makes it easy, almost like hitting the delete button on a whole relationship. Paperwork sealed, records buried, case closed. But here's the question that makes everyone's jaw drop. Why go to those lengths unless there was something huge to hide? So here's where things take a turn from shocking to downright haunting. Because those whispers about a secret marriage, they don't end there. They lead straight into something even more unbelievable. A daughter. Allegedly, her name is Noel, born in 1995, quietly, privately. No hospital snapshots, no public records, no doting new mom posts, because back then that wasn't Meghan Markle. That was Rachel Meghan Markle, a teenager with dreams bigger than her past. The story goes that Noel was born into the Giuliano family, and then silence. No baby pictures, no family announcements, nothing, just gone. People close to the situation say Meghan cut all ties. No phone calls, no visits, not even a whisper of acknowledgement. It was like she stepped out of that chapter of her life and slammed the door shut forever. And then, years later, she reappeared, glowing, confident, ambitious, the actress chasing her Hollywood dreams. By the time she hit the royal radar, that old story had been completely erased. But here's where things get wild. If that timeline is true, if Noel really exists, then Meghan Markle wouldn't just be hiding a daughter, she'd be hiding a granddaughter too. Yes, you heard that right, because Noel, supposedly now in her late 20s, is rumored to have a child of her own, which means Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, modern mom of two, might secretly be a grandmother. Now just imagine that for a second. The same woman gracing magazine covers talking about motherhood, compassion, authenticity. All while there might be a daughter and granddaughter out there, completely unacknowledged. It's the kind of twist that doesn't just crack an image, it shatters it. And right at the center of it all, Trevor Engelson. Because while the world was busy swooning over Meghan and Harry's fairy tale wedding, Trevor was being quietly approached behind the scenes. Book deals, interviews, multi-million-dollar offers. Tell your story, Trevor. Give us the real Meghan. But he never did. He stayed silent. Still, those close to him say he didn't need to talk because Trevor lived it. He saw things. Lived it. He connected dots that didn't make sense. The missing year before college, the secrecy around her gap year, the weird inconsistencies in her story. Meghan always claimed she spent that year finding herself, traveling, discovering her purpose. But insiders say something else entirely, that she wasn't traveling at all. She was allegedly in Chicago, laying low with the Giuliano family, the same family said to be raising Noel. That gap year, it wasn't a soul-searching adventure. It was, allegedly, a cover-up. Now let's just pause and think about this. If that's true, if Meghan spent a year hiding in Chicago with a baby girl, then her carefully polished started started from nothing story starts to crumble. And think about Noel. Imagine being that child, growing up quietly in another home, while the woman who gave birth to you transforms into a global icon. Watching her on screens, hearing her preach about motherhood and empathy, but knowing deep down she's never even said your name aloud. That's not just tragic. It's heartbreaking. Trevor, meanwhile, saw all of this unfold from the sidelines. He wasn't just a jilted ex-husband, he was a man who had loved her, who believed her story, only to realize parts of it didn't line up. The woman he married wasn't the Duchess of Sussex. She wasn't the humanitarian the world adored. She was someone who had already learned how to erase the past. And Trevor, bless his heart, saw the pattern before anyone else. Because to him, this wasn't about ambition, it was about reinvention. Meghan didn't just climb the ladder, she built a new one, from scratch, and she decided who could stay on each rung. Trevor? Gone. The Giuliano chapter? Deleted. The past? Buried. But you can only bury the truth for so long before it starts clawing its way back up. You know that eerie kind of silence, the one that doesn't mean peace but pressure? That's exactly the kind Trevor Engelson carried for years. He never went on talk shows, never sold out to tabloids, never wrote that tell-all book. Even though, trust me, people begged him to. They waved checks in his face, offered millions just to hear him spill the tea on Meghan Markle, the woman who broke his heart and possibly rewrote her past. But Trevor, he stayed quiet. And that silence was louder than any confession could ever be. People close to him say he doesn't talk because he doesn't have to. He's seen enough. He lived through the years when Meghan wasn't royalty, wasn't a household name, just a woman fiercely chasing her next version. He saw her transform, not just her style, not just her career, her entire identity. Back then, Meghan wasn't this global icon of empowerment. She was strategic, deliberate, always one step ahead. Everything about her, her posture, her friendships, her story, seemed carefully designed. Even her struggles were packaged beautifully. The hardships, the Hollywood grind, the underdog rise, like chapters in a script that many now believe she wrote herself long before she ever met Prince Harry. And if that's true, then maybe, just maybe, she'd written out the parts she didn't want the world to see. The vision board theory. Now here's where things get downright spooky. Multiple insiders, including outspoken voices like Megyn Kelly, have claimed that Meghan once had what they called a Prince Harry vision board. Not a dreamy Pinterest fantasy, but an actual physical board filled with his photos, quotes, symbols of British royalty, almost like she was planning her life like a screenplay. Not just manifesting a dream, engineering it. And if that board existed, if she truly mapped out her royal future years before they met, then it makes you wonder, what else had she planned to erase? Because this isn't just about ambition anymore. It's about control. Control over image, over story, over memory. And that's when Trevor started noticing things that didn't add up, the gaps that tell the story. During their relationship, Trevor reportedly stumbled upon oddities. Unexplained absences, cryptic moments, and that mysterious gap year Meghan always glossed over. That was the year she supposedly found herself, right? Except there's no travel record, no photos, no credible timeline, just vague stories about Europe and personal growth. But insiders swear otherwise. They claim Meghan was in Chicago, living quietly, staying under the radar, in the same neighborhood where the Giuliano family lived. You see where this is going? That's not a coincidence. That's a connection. And those who knew her back then say there was something different about her during that time. Protective, distant, cautious, as if she was living two lives, one that was real and one that was already being rewritten for the future. If that's true, if Noel really existed, if that chapter was erased, then that gap year becomes the missing link in Meghan's entire public timeline. And suddenly, her transformation into Hollywood's favorite self-made star doesn't look so spontaneous anymore. It looks orchestrated. The blueprint of a Duchess, Trevor Engelson, wasn't just her ex. He was part of the blueprint, the testing ground for Meghan's next big reinvention. He saw how she handled relationships like PR campaigns, how she could charm anyone, network effortlessly, and then, when the time came, walk away like it never happened. And that's what allegedly rattled Trevor the most. Not the fame, not the royals, not even the breakup itself. It was how easily Meghan hit delete. Entire years, entire people. One day, she was Mrs. Engelson, the Hollywood wife building a life. The next, she was a ghost. Ring mailed back, phone silent, life restarted. That's not heartbreak, that's surgery. Surgical precision. Cutting out every piece of a story that didn't fit the next chapter. And maybe, just maybe, Trevor wasn't the first. Because if the rumors are true, someone else was deleted long before him. Someone named Noel. The numbers that don't lie. Now here's where even the skeptics started to raise their eyebrows. Officially, Meghan Markle's birth year is 1981, but several alumni databases, independent reports, and classmates have quietly suggested she might have been born in 1977, or even earlier. That's just 4 years, but it changes everything. Because if she was born in 1977, then being married in 1995 at 18 fits perfectly. So does having a child that same year. Suddenly, the timeline stops looking suspicious and starts making perfect sense. Her supposed gap year, that's not self-discovery, that's recovery, that's transition, from a mother to an actress, from Rachel Markle to Meghan Markle. And if Noel truly exists, she'd be around 28 now, a grown woman, a mother even. And that means Meghan Markle, Duchess, activist, feminist, relatable mom, might secretly be a grandmother right now. Let that sink in, because if that's true, every photo op, every podcast, every Netflix clip showing her as the hands-on mom becomes something else entirely. A performance, not a lie exactly, but a role she's been perfecting for years.